as we stay in this mystery of the heart, we touch levels of understanding that are way deeper than what we imagined.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Insight in Non-duality, the podcast by the Dutch magazine InZicht with in-depth conversations about non-duality. My name is Klaas Kok, and in this episode, Editor-in-Chief Karin Visser will be talking to Shakti Caterina Maggi about her message, about her drive to give satsang, about personal transformation, healing the ego, the role of the heart, and the possible difference between male and female spiritual teachers. And of course, worries about the current state of affairs in the world. I hope you enjoy the show.
Caterina, Shakti, welcome in Holland on this rainy day.
Thank you.
Yes, a pleasure to have you here for the first time, I understood, in Holland.
Yeah.
So, as I'm personally not familiar with your teaching, I like to know, what is your message? What do you like to share with us?
It's an invitation to look in the most sacred part of ourself, that is our spiritual heart, and to find in it our non-dual essence, to discover that behind the conceptualization of the mind and the ideas that we have been built up about ourselves and the world, we are actually one being in many forms. And how to live from this recognition, and what does this imply?
Right.
So it's an invitation to find a space within in which the contraction of the suffering can melt and be expressed as joy, as our natural joy of living. That's the core of the message.
That's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. So you're traveling quite a bit, the world, I've seen in your calendar.
Yeah.
So you have a drive to bring this message across. What drives you?
Well, I would say the joy of sharing what I found in myself, and the same force that drives the spiritual awakening in a person carry on and evolves and is shared with everybody. So it's a never-ending story. It's a never-ending journey. So for me, speaking of this and sharing my being really through the work I do, or I am, is the drive.
Right. Yes. Well, I find that myself as well, as long as there's life, there is a never-ending journey of discovery, actually. I'm just curious, what is your last discovery? Can you give a little example?
I would say that I've been pondering a lot in the last weeks and months how important is that we don't mistake our knowing with our experiencing, and how is important always remain in this mystery of the being, and how as we stay in this mystery of the heart, we touch levels of understanding that are way deeper than what we imagined. So if I would describe you how I feel, is like a sinking in the heart that is bottomless. And more this goes ahead, and more it opens up new level of understanding. And so as this progression goes ahead, I share it with the people I meet.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So when you say experiencing and knowing, is that in any way related to the mental and
I would say yes. I mean, sometimes we do experience things that we don't understand, or it takes many years to understand. And sometimes instead we understand things, and then it takes many years to experience them. They're not always coinciding. That's what I found, at least. And so in this dropping that I mentioned before, you find new level of realization, and even if it's always the same thing that is realized, is integrated and embodied more and more deeply.
Mm. Mm. So what would you say is the importance between a mental understanding and the embodiment?
I would say that the mental understanding is necessary for the mind, because otherwise there is too much resistance, and it helps to clear the ideas that we build up about ourselves.
Mm.
So, so the self-inquiry is the way through which we clear the mind.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, I'm sure that you have been experienced this as well. Sometimes we have a glimpse or a satori or a suddenly opening to our ultimate reality, and not necessarily we know what it's about. Sometimes we don't know, and then after that, you know, a process of clearing of the contents of the mind from false ideas
Mm.
about ourselves, about the world, starts.
Right. Yeah.
So there is an intelligence behind everything. I never saw a person come into self-realization in the same way of another. And we all are unique cases in terms of the expression. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, what we see is the same thing. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I think when you talk about understanding, to me at least, in the end, it's just a big mystery.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
ununderstandable, and I find that
Yeah. Yeah.
the beauty of it.
Yeah. I mean, true understanding is the realization of our being through our being, and is behind the mind.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there is also like a clarity that happens, you know, like if you expose somebody to a teaching that is clear intellectually and clear, you know, then you use the mind to undo the mind. You know?
Mm.
After all, is the mind that got us in trouble, and is the mind that is unweaving the web of illusion
Mm.
until you arrive to a space that is before the mind, and that there is nothing to understand, there is only being.
Yeah. 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 So would you say it's important to also develop yourself as a person?
Um, well, it's not a person that wakes up, no?
Yeah.
So we wake up from the illusion to be a person.
Mm.
So it's not that we do a preparation in order to wake up, because there is nobody that is waking up. And also the waking up and the ignorance, they are in the mind, you know, as we said before, it's the mind that leads us to into the illusion, and is the mind that is dissolving back into the clarity. But you know, I would say that what I notice in myself, if I speak of my experience or the experience of what is happening here, is that what the energy that was building up the ego gets unveiled, and the same energy is used to express the individual. So a kind of natural expression. So it's not that, maybe this is, I don't know, could be interesting for people listening to this interview. You know, maybe we have the idea that when we wake up, you know, into the oneness of being, we become all the same. It's not like that, you know? And but what I notice in my experience and in experience of people around me is that we become more ourselves,
Mm.
because the pretense and the justification of the ego get unveiled, and then the Shakti, the energy that was expressing like that, is free to access to the natural potential of the body.
Yeah.
So there is not just the feeling free from the fear, from the sense of separation, but there is also this sensation of the body to be used, so to speak, in its best way.
Mm.
And that's what I mean by being ourselves fully.
Mm.
And I think this is important to stress, because it's not just a process of transcendence, but also is a process of embodiment, but embodying not the fear, but the love that we recognize to be.
Hmm.
So it's a path of love
Hmm.
as well.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
And maybe how we're built as a person as well can finally flourish, you know. And you
exactly.
get this bunch of weird people. But,
Exactly.
yeah.
And it's fascinating because sometimes people wake up and they are, I mean, it's not that everybody they wake up, is a teacher, because being a teacher is a function,
Hmm.
is a function of the body. Certain bodies are good in communicating. And so naturally they become teachers, or at least verbal, because but then, you can be somebody that does something completely different. I don't know, work with the wood or whatever, whatever really. And that is going to be your expression. I used to have a friend that moved actually here to the Netherlands in the last years of his life. And he woke up and he was a school teacher, and he never, been given satsang or anything like that. But he was oozing this love and clarity and compassion for his students. And when he died quite young at age of 52. There were 2,000 people at his funeral
Hmm.
in Italy. It touched the heart of so many people. You know, there is something, that is beamed from a form that is living from this recognition. And even if you never say to somebody, that's the truth, you're going to share it in your being.
Hmm.
Each one of us, can become a portal of transformation
Yeah.
in a way,
Yeah.
for this message.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Even wordless, you can broadcast it somehow.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there are great masters in the world that are way higher than me that don't speak, but their inner balance support this planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Let me ask you a tricky question. You
please.
know, when I when I observe a number of spiritual teachers, and I notice that the ones who have sometimes the biggest gatherings are the ones who are driven by an ambition.
Mm.
And sometimes I get to wonder, I think, what has ambition to do with it? But what is your view on that?
I would say that if you want to affirm yourself, or if you are going for power or money or influence
Or sex?
or sexuality or whatever, on a certain point you would find yourself dry,
Hmm.
because the initial force that comes from awakening is an impersonal force that is going to delete the ego. And if it's supported, that's it.
You
But
think
cannot.
after an awakening, even I mean, there are plenty of examples of teachers who then maybe get lost somewhere, and you know, the big three: money, power, sex.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they get involved with that. So
Yeah.
why would that be?
I would say because, there is not like, I mean, if you are an engineer, you're taking a degree
Hmm.
and you're an engineer.
Hmm.
But if you wake up, there is not like a university that says to you,
No.
you cooked, you're done, And there was in the past, in the past.
You mean with the traditional?
In the
Yeah.
Western tradition, you
Yeah.
go to Gurukula and your guru will say to you, now you can teach,
Yeah.
and I've been sharing this, encouraged by my teacher at the beginning, but I waited 8 years before actually giving formal satsang, because I was more interested in going deeper in my process. And it's still going on,
Yes.
It's,
Yeah.
as we say before, it's a never-ending journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is done for love, and it's a service.
Hmm.
And I would say that we all are a service. And even, teachers that might have their own flows, and I have mine, everybody has his own shadow. If you walk on the planet, we're going to cast a shadow. And,
Yeah.
there are very few souls that are out of the game completely, I think.
Well, even Ramana Maharshi said the ego is still tricking him sometimes. Yeah.
So we need to remain humble, honest. And so, but say this, even those that, we all stumble, every now and then into something. And of course, this kind of position is very tricky, and you have to be very watchful and careful.
Yeah.
But I would say that even, who seems to be a false teacher, let's use this expression, it's a service anyway. You can wake up through anybody. You can wake up through even, I don't know, through anything, because anything is a sacred object that is pointing to the truth of what we are. And of course, some mirrors are more clear, wider, but for sure we meet the right one at the right moment.
Can be the bus driver.
Yes. So if we don't get stuck with the map, we discover the treasure. And because sometimes the fixation on oh, he's these, the right teacher or the right teaching for me, I would follow more what is impacting your heart. Do I feel disturbed? What does in me feel disturbed? Am I interested in going ahead? These kind of questions are useful, I think.
Yeah.
And ultimately, this is a path that we do in ourselves completely. A teacher is just the finger pointing to the moon, is not the truth, is an appearance in your own dream, reflecting your desire to discover what you are. The teacher is not so important. What is important is our sincerity in keep on digging in ourselves to find the truth of what we are.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. 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 Thank you.
But there are, great masters in the world that, that even their name just fills our heart with love, like Ananda Maima that we said before, or Ramana.
Yeah. So you talk a lot about the heart in your teaching. Can you say a bit more about it? Why is it so important?
Yeah. Well, because this is not a truth that we know, but something we need to discover to be. And the only place where a true process, spiritual process of undoing the ego can happen is in the heart. Of course, not the heart as a physical organ, and not even the heart as intuitions or emotions, but the heart as, the abode of consciousness. As
You think it's in this region?
it's just resonating physically in this region, and it's not just me saying it, actually also Ramana saying, but it's not in the body. It resonates in the body in that area, and it's consciousness, it's pure consciousness. So what I invite people to do is to look beyond what they know or what they feel to what is witnessing everything, and to discover that this place is the heart. The heart is impersonal, is neutral, is all-including, is truly compassionate. It doesn't differentiate good or bad, or me and you, or anything like that. Is our non-dual essence.
Yeah. It's what you call the heart, maybe what has a variety of names, maybe in other traditions.
You can say it,
Yeah.
awareness, consciousness, peace, stillness, silence,
God.
being, God,
Yeah.
Parabrahman.
Yeah.
Is Hidraya in
Yeah.
Sanskrit.
Ah,
Or
yeah.
Hrit is the same. Hidraya or Hrit is I hope I pronounce it correctly, is the heart, spiritual heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
In the Advaita tradition.
Yeah. So what place does love have in that?
It's the radiance of our being. Is the grace, the energy that creates everything and that appears as everything. It's not a feeling between people. Is this force that appears as everything we see.
I see. Yeah. Yeah.
And when we get in contact with it, we discover that it's not an external experience that we reach through somebody or something, but is truly at the core of our being. And is a big revelation, because we see is so impersonal. And this is shocking for the mind, because the mind thinks that love is personal. And so seeing it's not. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And he's behind everything, because he's everything. So, it's for the mind, it's very difficult to accept it, I would say.
Yeah.
But also is,
It always has its preferences and it's, what it doesn't want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Me being the chief editor of this magazine, we did in May an issue with the theme, the female expression of non-duality. And I wanted to do that for a long time, me being a female.
Right.
And, the world of non-duality or spiritual non-duality is full with male teachers. And so was my magazine, full. Sometimes to my embarrassment, there wasn't one female. I always had to make an effort to get the females on board, at least one or two or three. And so we had this discussion. I'm just giving you a bit of the background story between me and my male colleagues on the editor group. When I came up, I want to make an issue with the theme, the female expression. They always start to laugh like, ha ha ha, there is no gender here. And of course, my true nature is absolutely genderless, anything less. And
Yeah.
but I couldn't keep having the intuition there is a difference between a woman sitting there and spreading the word or a male. So I asked a question and I wanted to have the females now talking. You're a female, so I'm going to ask you the same question. I asked them, it's true, there's no gender here. But at the same time, I'm having a female body. I'm experiencing life, through a female body. And I sense there are differences. And I'm not looking for answers, definite answers, but I'm looking for your experience. How, how is this for you? What is your sense of it? And so, what is your sense of it?
I don't see myself as a female teacher, in the sense that I don't, it's not where my understanding or my sharing is coming from. Yeah. But for sure, what I can say is that probably when this sharing that, as you said, is genderless, is expressed through a female form, maybe is going to be more inclined to be less intellectual and more experiential, and probably is going to be more practical and more down to earth. And this maybe will lead to people to really see where in their everyday life actually are living this, and less, just the big theory about it. That's my feeling.
Yeah. You think it's easier for a woman to wake up?
I don't know. There are a lot more of spiritual female seekers than male.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I mean, if you look at retreats and things, in my retreats and seminars, there is like maybe 60, 70% female and 40, 30% men. I don't know here in this country, but around the world, I always see that there are more women than men nowadays looking for self-realization. I don't know why,
Maybe it also has to do with the approach, a more mental approach than the males are attracted, I sometimes think.
I don't know. It's a mystery to me, but I can say to you that, at the same time, there has been a strong repression of the female energy in the last thousands of years.
Yes.
And now I can see maybe it's balancing. And maybe something different is emerging. But say this, it's not that I don't think of myself as a female teacher. I'm sure you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
But so I don't teach for women.
Mm.
But yeah, if I can look at the teaching, maybe it can be like maybe embodied and practical and down to earth as much as possible and human.
Mm. You think it has to do, I'm just exploring a bit further, with the
Yeah.
way our body is built?
I don't have an answer to that. I don't know.
Mm. Like we
But
are built for
I would
receptivity
say
on a biological
I
level?
I don't know.
Okay.
But what I can, it's not that I don't want to reply. It's
No,
really I
no,
don't know.
no.
But what I
Good,
can
yeah.
say to you is that if you know, if there is a person suffering, maybe, and I don't want to make a generalization here because I do love all my male students and I encourage them, you know, to explore, you know, like female side, male side equally, you know. So,
Yeah.
but you know, if you have a person that has a problem, maybe a man would ask why he's suffering, and maybe a woman would try to help that person to get out of the suffering. Just like biologically, we would probably respond differently. I have no idea if this is coming from social background or cultural background. I have no idea.
Mm.
For sure, awareness is genderless,
Yes,
and
I agree totally. Yeah.
and you know, these are beautiful temples of exploration. And I'm very happy that my body is female.
So am I.
But like, you
Yeah.
know, I don't put that label on me of
Yeah.
female teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was a very interesting bunch of articles we got out of it, and everybody
Yeah.
named another aspect.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, my bit, I don't know if this helps in this exploration. My bit is like maybe more embodied and practical, maybe, you know, but you know, just because it's my experience.
Hmm. Some female authors, speakers, said because they were women, they had trouble, like a lot of criticism or even threats.
Really?
Have you experienced anything
No.
like that? Good, good.
No. Maybe because I'm very bold. And I'm very lucky because my mother, grandmother, and great grandmother um, were very courageous women that, you know, they all had a degree and they were all like leader in their things and very strong, you know. So they didn't pass me this idea that having a female body was being weak or less than it never even crossed my mind. So it doesn't happen in my reality. It does not mean that I don't see that women are paid less or, you know, less invited to conferences and things. But you know, I don't function through that idea. So I am just myself, and whoever wanna come is welcome. Whoever wanna go is welcome, and
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But it's not that I don't see that it's different, treated differently. But if I would say to you that I have been unlucky or it's been more hard because of it, for me, I would lie. So yes, no,
Thank you.
that's
Yeah,
it.
thank you. Good. Let me look at my things as a preparation. Yeah, you also have a sangha I saw on your website.
Yes.
People living in a place together with your teachings, or
Not, not exactly. I mean, there is like a sangha around the world of now some hundreds of people that follow this teaching, and we meet online. You know, is a bigger sangha, of course, in Italy, and an international sangha. The place where I have more students is United States for now, because I've been there many times. And we meet. You know, we gather 3 times a year in an international retreat. But then I also am building up a place, a physical place, where I live in Italy, in Sicily, and with my partner that is here with me. And it's a place where we're going to start to invite people. And, you know, if people want to come, it's already happening, but it's kind of small, private thing, you know. Some people come and stay for a while.
I
So
see.
I find the teaching a not verbal teaching that can happen only through online. Sorry, not online. Through daily experience, very powerful. So sometimes I had people coming, staying with us, and not necessarily I speak to them, but they are in this field of consciousness, and they go through things in a very deep way, and it's powerful because it's not triggered by a conversation. And then maybe we speak, and they, you know, kind of go through, they unravel what has been emerging for them. So it's interesting me this, but at the moment it's happening on a small scale because it happens with students that have been with me already for a long time.
Right.
So
Yes.
not new people, but I started to do small gatherings there in Sicily as well because the place is very beautiful and
No
powerful,
doubt. Yeah.
and so it's very inducive.
Yeah.
But I think that you know um, these silent, in person transmission, let's use this word, is real and is very powerful. But we have to be ready for it, maybe. So I would say at the beginning, our mind needs to understand things, we need to open up to this gradually.
Right. From my own past and my seeker's journey, I remember massive lessons in just observing how my teacher
Yeah.
did something
Yeah.
in daily life, which caught my eye and I found so astounding at the time. I think of one of my last mentors, so to speak, Catherine Harding, the wife of Dr. Harding. When I went shopping with her, this took hours and hours and hours. Why? Because she literally stopped with everybody in the supermarket, outside, at the till, everywhere.
Wow.
She gave these people, her full attention.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that was for me to see that, and yeah, she wouldn't rush over somebody.
That's
Never.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. So these days the world is on fire,
Oh, yeah.
and probably it's always been. It's just now that it's more known to us. And a lot of people very worried about it. There are also a lot of people suffering from it.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to somebody who brings their worried heart to you?
Well, if you mean, the social climate, political situation we are in is a huge challenge for those who try to find security in the world, because if you try to hold on to an experience nowadays, it's kind of crumbling down. You can't hold on to lineages, they're, destroyed or they are on the verge of being destroyed. You cannot hold on to institutions that we usually have been holding on to for thousands of years, like family or religion or political values or ideas. And this, of course, from a personal point of view, is terrible and is making us feeling very insecure. But from a spiritual point of view, this is incredibly good because there's never been a time as this one in which, in our known history at least, in which we cannot really hold on to anything outside. So it's a huge invitation to go within and to find something that doesn't move, in our being.
Yes.
And that's, I think, is the offering of Kali Yuga. In India, they say that now we are in Kali Yuga. They say that time is circular and there are moments of huge clarity, and there's Satya Yuga, the golden age, and then there are other ages that which truth goes more and more watered down until we arrive to these darkest moments, that one that we are living in. and is Kali Yuga. And in the Indian tradition, they say that this is when the souls really want to be embodied, because it's where we have the best opportunity to wake up. That's what they say. So, and I agree. And the invitation in a world that is on fire, as you said, is to find the foundation of our life not in the experiences, neither inner experiences or external experiences, but in the silence of being. So that's a beautiful invitation. It's a hard one, but if we are alive now, it's because we want it.
Thank you. Yeah. Is there anything you like to speak about that I haven't asked you?
I just want to say this, that in these difficult times and these challenging times, it's very important that we don't feel that we are just little helpless human being, that we cannot do anything, and it doesn't matter what we do, our personal effort, the bigger picture is too wide for us to be influential. And I want to remind everybody that this is not true, because the one in each and every one of us that is alive and conscious is not a person, is divine consciousness itself. And when this consciousness wakes up to itself through your form, then there is a huge kind of dynamo effect. I don't know how to express it on everything and everybody. And if we look at the life of those who have been waking up to through being, they changed the life of many, some of them of millions or billions. And we are not little helpless human being. We can redream the dream of the world. We are the master dreamer of this dream that is made of our own being, our own consciousness. And when we do wake up, the world wakes up in us, and the people we meet wake up in us. And so we count, every one of us is very important. And it doesn't matter if we think that our life is not important or influential on the bigger scheme. Is not true. So I would like to give this message of courage. The word courage in Latin means to have a heart. So to rest in our spiritual heart. And sometimes it's not easy because we feel crushed.
Yeah.
But that's the only place where we can be when we feel crushed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. And may we all rest in this space within that welcomes everything all the time.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.